my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. Happy New Year 2023 and welcome to the first video of the new year. Today we've got some very exciting news for the Bad Batch thanks to an exclusive preview from SFX magazine, a showrunner exclusive as they call it with the creators, and we've got some awesome new information for the show's second season, which is now just 3 days away. I'm gonna highlight the meat and potatoes of it, just the fun and exciting stuff. Before we dive into it though guys, as Crosshair would say, good soldiers hit subscribe down below. I know he didn't say that, but he should. Subscribe if you're new guys, and also be sure to give that bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So the Bad Batch Season 2. They begin by discussing something the Bad Batch has in common with the Andor series, Emperor Palpatine being the backdrop of the entire show. The Empire is the underlying threat that surrounds everything that happens in Season 2, but the biggest difference between the two series is that we're actually going to see Granddaddy Palps in the Bad Batch, the political landscape and the expansion of this regime. Now I've got to say, for all of its flaws, Disney Star Wars has been excellent at expanding our understanding, scope and perspective of what the Empire was really like. Some of the most horrible things we saw in the Andor series, the prison on Arkina 5, the oppression, the ruthlessness, not to mention Dr. Gorst, and some of the most atrocious experiments the Empire ever performed on innocent species on various planets across the galaxy. I briefly touched upon that in yesterday's video, but now SFX magazine expands on this. They start with a huge bold statement: Emperor Palpatine does not do sentiment. So while his clone army was instrumental in defeating separatist forces, the newly formed Galactic Empire is doing its best to create a hostile environment for its lab-grown soldiers, and they're talking about the ones that remained loyal. The most notable of these is Crosshair and Commander Cody. In Season 1 of the Bad Batch, we saw conscripted human beings as proto-stormtroopers. For Echo, Tech, Wrecker and Hunter, the only sensible course of action is to lay low, while working muscle-for-hire jobs for former Jedi informant Sid. Now this is really huge guys, because Jennifer Corbett the other day did say the Bad Batch is not necessarily on the run, they're just trying to stay under the radar. Of course, and big spoiler warning, by the end of the season, Omega in particular has been captured. She is wanted by the Empire probably for what Nala Se is doing on Mount Tantis. And now we have a new quote from Jennifer Corbett. She says, "When we first meet them in Season 2, a little bit of time has passed, but she doesn't want to say exactly how long. We assume it's been 5 or 6 months. She says the Bad Batch are in an interesting situation right now, where they're off the Empire's radar. That's a blessing, but also a curse, because while they're not in the beginning being sought after, how long can they avoid doing missions that attract the Empire's attention? And this is why I think one of Sid's missions, one of the ones they go on with Fiji Noah, is going to attract the attention of the wrong people, maybe even Crosshair himself, and then bang, the Empire is right on the Bad Batch's tail once again." Brad Rowell makes it very clear the Empire is everywhere and growing, so that's easier said than done. The Bad Batch are still working for Sid, but they're very careful about what missions they take. They're questioning things, and they also tease that because we're at this very interesting point before the original trilogy, citizens of the galaxy have very little idea about the quote joys of Palpatine's reign, the surprises, the horrible surprises that he's got in store. The oppression has just begun. So as Clone Force 99 make their way through the universe, it's going to be harder and harder to turn a blind eye to the Imperial oppression and what's going on in the scope of the galaxy. The Batch is going to come across a lot of that on their mercenary missions. They're going to see firsthand what the Empire is up to. A lot of it's going to be uncomfortable and dark. This season is not shying away from the genre of film noir. There's going to be some political subplots, a lot of which tie into the themes explored in the Andor show. Palpatine has no redeeming qualities. They say, quote, "We're so early into the age of the Empire that I think some planets don't view the Empire as bad. A lot of them see them as the heroes, because a lot of the Imperial propaganda put out there, especially on Coruscant by Massamida, painted the Jedi to be the bad guys, but very few citizens, average citizens, know the truth. This is something the Bad Batch has to contend with." You see, the thing with Palpatine is that he's fundamentally unpredictable and dangerous, the most dangerous man in the galaxy. His goals, strategies and plans change on a whim and advance without any hesitancy. He is a master manipulator, and this soon after the Clone Wars ending. He probably has tests in mind for remaining clones. As we saw Tarkin do in Season 1, he wants to see if he can push the limits of what's possible. To him, these remaining loyal clones are toys that can be played with, cogs in a machine that seeks to take over universal power. So as we saw Crosshair have his obedience enhanced in Season 1, who knows what Palpatine might do in Season 2? Could he put one or two of these clones on Mount Tantiss for experimentation? He might even slow down their life cycle so that they no longer have accelerated aging, but I can imagine that only being granted to the likes of Crosshair, Cody, or another very important loyal clone. Anything twisted is possible with Palps, and the extent of that is something that no one in the galaxy wants to experience. And one of the most significant quotes from this piece, at the heart of it, the Bad Batch is a story about clones, and there's kind of a double meaning here because they're not just talking about the Bad Batch themselves, but clones who stayed loyal to the Empire and are waking up to realize this regime does not have their interests at heart. And then Jennifer Corbett talks about Crosshair. She says that the Bad Batch have a unique perspective on what's going on. In Season 1 we saw Crosshair stay fully committed to the Empire, but the Batch are not ready to give up on him just yet, so they are going to try and save him this season once again. She says these are friends who've been through missions together for years, and who doesn't have a friend they've had a falling out with, who they hope they'll see eye to eye with once again. I don't think they ever wanted to give up on someone they viewed as a brother. And then she kind of hints at the fact that Crosshair is having second doubts. Yes, his chip was removed, and she confirms this, but he realizes the Empire is not what it's made out to be. She says Crosshair might have to deal with being surplus to the Imperial requirements when the show returns. It's something we definitely get into in the narrative of Season 2, how Crosshair's treated by the Empire, how he feels about it, and how things may or may not change is the core of some really good episodes. And we've spoken about the theme of identity, how clones feel about being, well, clones after the Clone Wars, and their purpose. Do they stay with the Empire because they feel like they're needed? Well, the Empire's going to show them they're not. And they're bullied by the recruits. The new human conscriptions are not a big fan of the clones. They've been indoctrinated by the propaganda that the clones are a remnant of the past. They go on to say that as well as Crosshair, Season 2 similarly explores the relationship between the Batch and Omega at this stage, the young clone who helped them to escape from Kamino and who subsequently joined their ranks. Brad Rowell says, quote, "We had so much fun with these tough soldiers as the dads of Omega. Now that some time has passed, we're seeing how they've settled down into those roles." And then we have a very similar quote to what I covered yesterday, where Jennifer Corbett confirms Boba Fett does not cross paths with Omega in Season 2. And I'm more convinced than ever, guys, they're saving that reunion for live action. Whether it's the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, The Mandalorian Season 3 or beyond, I think that's going to happen in the Mandoverse. And here's something really interesting. Brad Rowell mentions Dr. Pershing and the similarities between him and Nala Se, both cloners, both Imperial cloners, and here's just a bit of my speculation. We might see Dr. Pershing in the Bad Batch. He says, quote, "That's not a coincidence, but I don't want to talk too much about what's going on there. We've got to leave some things in the dark, and those episodes are going to be massive. I think the last 2 episodes are going to be amazing. Not even the reviewers saw those. They only saw the first 14, and I think they're going to save Mount Tantiss for the penultimate episode, which of course is titled The Summit, probably to do with Wayland and Mount Tantiss. Super exciting stuff. And one more thing before I go, guys, we have a brand new poster of Crosshair. He looks really cool, a bit sinister, but also there is a sadness in his eyes. I don't think he likes the Empire as much as he claims, and I wonder if he is going to defect. They did promise tragedy in this season, so could Crosshair be one of those who falls? Maybe he sacrifices himself for his brothers and sister. One final act, but this time for the good. I want them all to survive, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Share your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, while also getting your name at the end of my videos, then click the link down there in the description. Did you know that over on Patreon you can find over 200 posts not found here on YouTube? That includes lore videos, gameplay videos, interviews, access to the Mandalorian Discord community, and so much more. Link is down below. May the Force be with you always.